Hello, folks. I'm Rupali. You've already given a nice introduction. Thank you for that, Abhiram. Yes, one of the feathers of my hat is I'm Mrs. India Earth first runner-up 2021. So that was after I chose the path of wellness. So I was ready for it, I thought, let me just give it a shot. So today's topic, before that, Vindhya ji, amazing transformation. My God, kudos to you. Big time, a big applause. Rimi, my God, so much of guidance. Without your guidance, definitely it wouldn't have been possible. So amazing job, amazing. A big applause to you. So let me just share my screen. I'm not a very fancy PPT maker, so please pay attention to what I'm saying because I'm going to talk more. I hope my screen is visible to everybody. Yes? Okay. Let's begin. Uh, Ta-da, the curtain raiser. Liver, the project manager. Okay. Let me just take this up. So why do we call the liver as the project manager? Reason being, it is the biggest internal organ of our body, right? What is the biggest organ of our body, if I may ask? Okay, it's the skin, right? So this is the biggest internal organ of this body, and it has the power to recover itself. And it is the only organ that can be recovered. It releases biles for digestion of fats. What are biles? These are yellowish, greenish color liquid fluid which comes out of the liver. Okay, below the liver there is something called gallbladder. Okay, there's a small organ. So this biles get released by the liver and get stored in the gallbladder as in a concentrated form. When the fats come into the duodenum, that is the uh, starting portion of the small intestine, this bile comes out of the gallbladder through the bile duct to the duodenum to act on the fats. So those who don't have the gallbladder find it very difficult to digest the fats, especially the fats that are coming from animal protein, right? Animal products, basically. So, why? Because something getting acted on in a concentrated form and something in a diluted form, there is a difference, right? So, yes, it releases biles for digestion of fats. It accepts nutrients from the small intestine. So, what happens is when we eat our food, the nutrients get broken down into absorbable form in this and it gets absorbed by the small intestine. And all these nutrients just go into the liver, right? Where, according to the body's need, the liver decides which organ to give what kind of nutrients. And it also prioritizes. Like suppose there is protein, right? So protein first goes to the muscles rather than going to the skin or to the hair, right? So that is how the decision is being taken by the liver. It makes cholesterol, both LDL and HDL, using 80% of glucose and 20% of fats. I will be talking about cholesterol in detail in my next slide. Produces CoQ10. What is CoQ10? It's an enzyme, coenzyme Q10, which is produced by the liver through the same pathway as the cholesterol, which is responsible for maintaining the health of the muscles, especially the heart muscle, right? So there was this client of mine who was actually a prospect first. So when she came to me, she was on cholesterol reducing medication for 2 years. So the first question I asked her was, do you feel any discomfort in your muscles? And she was like, oh yes, when I sit down, I feel the cramps. When I stand up, I feel the cramps. I don't know, something, I feel that the muscles are getting weaker. I said, the reason being you are taking this cholesterol reducing medication, which is blocking the pathway of from where the cholesterol is being made. And blocks, the same pathway is used for the liver to produce CoQ10. So that is the reason you are facing this muscle cramps and all. Stores excess glucose as glycogen. So what happens is when we take carbohydrates, they break down into glucose. The final product of the absorbable form of carbohydrates is glucose. So some glucose is supposed to be maintained in the blood, which we call it as blood sugar level, which is around, the biomarker is there about 100. So which is about approximately 4 to 6 grams, right? Then if there is glucose left, it goes to the liver. Liver converts it into glycogen. First, it sends to the muscle cells where it is used when the body is not having glucose. Okay, why glucose? Glucose is needed by our bodies to produce energy because it is responsible for the process of metabolism, and metabolism gives us energy. So this excess of glucose gets converted into glycogen. First, it goes to the muscle cells, and then some of the glucose is also stored in the liver itself as glycogen, right? Detoxifies the body. Again, like all the nutrients from the intestine go to the liver for after absorption, the toxins also that we take in through our skin, nose, mouth, whatever, and also the waste materials that get generated because of the processes going on inside our body, they first go to the liver, and under the jurisdiction of liver, the elimination process happens, right? So yes, liver is one big, uh, nice organ of our body. Flushes out excess amount of estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone that is a female sex hormone, which is produced by the ovaries. Now, excessive estrogen in the body can cause havoc. It can cause n number of diseases. There are two pathways through which estrogen, or rather, liver flushes out estrogen of our body. First is hydroxy 2, second is hydroxy 16. Hydroxy 2 is a safer pathway. 16 is not a good pathway. If it goes to 16 pathway, then it might come back even more worse way, which would increase, actually research has that, it increases the risk of having breast cancer, basically because estrogen is a cell proliferator uh, hormone, right? So how to stimulate hydroxy 2 pathway? So basically, if hydroxy 2 pathway is stimulated, hydroxy 16 pathway comes down. So we need to put hydroxy 2 pathway stimulated. How do we do that? Take good amount of B6, B9, B12, omega-3, mostly flax seeds. And there is a compound called indoles, which is found in cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, kale. So all these vegetables have this compound called indoles, which activates or stimulates the liver to flush out estrogen through hydroxy 2 pathway. Okay. And yes, as estrogen, excess amount of estrogen is also responsible for influencing the thyroid gland functioning, right? So research has it that if the liver is in perfectly working condition, then one can never have cancer. Cancer is something, cancer cells, I will talk about a little bit about it. Cancer cells love to thrive in acidic environment, anaerobic environment, and the third is sugary environment. It feeds on 15 times more sugar than the normal cells. Cholesterol, like I had told. So basically what happens is this first one is the healthy artery, where there is no deposit of plaques, right? So arterial wall is lined with small endothelium cells. So what happens is when we take chemicals through our, pores in the body, or toxins, or smoking, or metals like mercury or aluminum, then the arterial walls get damaged, start getting damaged, right? So someone has to do this patchwork, bandaging work, right? So who does it? It's the LDL. LDL's work is to repair and rebuild. HDL's job is to carry back excess of LDL to the liver so that liver can flush it out. So yes, these are LDL को हमने ही villain बना के रखा है. It is not a bad cholesterol at all. What is bad is our lifestyle. We need to change that, right? On top of that, see, when LDL starts patching up, and then on top of that, you take those processed food, high fatty, high cholesterol food like your packaged food, processed foods, animal products, lot of animal products. So that starts building up as plaque even more. And the thing is, our blood has got all these protein molecules floating in every time, basically small protein molecules. When we are on the high carbs diet, the glucose gets stuck to the protein molecules. Glucose is nothing but sugar. Sugar is very sticky in nature. It gets stuck to the walls of these LDL, right? Not LDL, actually the walls of the artery. So where there is a small passage, oops, I got stuck here. Can you see this? This gives rise to the blockage of the arteries, which leads to heart attack. So yes, cholesterol is not bad. Our brain is the fattiest organ of the body. It has 70% fats and 30% cholesterol, the brain cells, 30% protein. So how can cholesterol be bad? We make it bad, right? Fatty liver, what is it? I'll give you a layman's example. You're walking, right? You do this brisk walk, right? Your pace is faster. You are not getting tired. Your stamina is good. But imagine this, you are carrying a load of 10 kilos and you start walking. Obviously, your pace will come down, your stamina will come down, you feel tired easily, right? Same thing happens with our organs also. When we take good amount of nasty fats in, or we take, uh, you know, fats get built up in our body, basically. So what happens is, two places where the fats get deposited. One is visceral area and one is under the skin. So visceral area has got liver as well. So the fats get deposited inside the liver and outside the liver as well, which decreases the functioning of the liver, right? So grade 1 is not that harmful, but if you don't address it right now, then and there itself, then it may lead to grade 2 and grade 3, and it can be actually very dangerous. How to keep our liver healthy? Okay, so these food categories that I have mentioned here is grains that you can talk about any grains. You can wheat, barley, bajra, jowar, everything. I'm talking about whole grains whose bran and germ are intact. So those are high in protein, high in carbohydrates. You can just go through this chart. So what we have to do is be limited on your carbohydrates intake. I will talk about this in my next slide, why carbohydrates should be minimized. Alcohol consumption should be limited. There are certain herbs which actually help to keep the liver health uh, happy, actually. And remember one thing, the herbs, especially those are bitter to taste, are actually good for the liver, right? Some are like turmeric, milk thistle, dandelion, gentian, ginger, lemon. Follow a healthy sleep routine. Why? Because according to circadian rhythm of blood circulation, our liver gets the maximum amount of blood flow between 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. So between these 4 hours, our liver gets repaired. So maintain a good sleep routine and let our project manager get some repair work done. Get some rest, right? We come to something called gluconeogenesis. What is this? So when our body, like I said, our body needs glucose to produce energy, right? So if there is no carbohydrates intake at all, so what will happen? Our liver starts converting fats into glucose to give us energy, right? So this is a process where liver converts fats into glucose. But there is a catch here. When the fat starts getting melted, right? When it starts getting melting, so what happens is the fat soluble toxins that our body already has wrapped up with a layer of fat starting to melt, then the toxin starts getting into the bloodstream. How you come to know about it is your body odor will become worse, your mouth odor will become worse, and also what you leave in the toilet, that is your stool, will also start smelling bad, worse, basically. So that is when you come to know that the toxins have come inside the bloodstream. So now the liver comes into action, because liver's job is to, whenever toxins come into the body doesn't know how to treat it. It simply wraps it up with a layer of fats and again store it. So it goes into a vicious cycle. So how to uh, prevent the liver from wrapping up with a layer of fats? it needs to take it out, expel it out of the body. Actually, it does it in 3 phases. Phase one, the fat soluble toxins, they get broken down into something called metabolites. That's the first stage of breaking down. But it is highly toxic. At times, it is 100 times more toxic than the metabolites, the normal metabolites, because when you have this good excess amount of alcohol in the body, it is highly volatile, high, and it also produces free radicals. Oh my God, this is something which is even more dangerous than the fat soluble toxins. So why this phase? Okay, let me tell you this. When you start cleaning up your kitchen, you actually end up making it more messier, isn't it? The kitchen looks even bad when you take out all the stuffs onto the floor and it becomes really bad, right? The view is very bad, just imagine. But once you start cleaning the shelves and the cabinets and you start putting back the things back in their places, it starts looking cleaned up, right? The same thing happens. So it is a process. So first phase, this thing happens. So since it has become toxic, it has started producing free radicals, we need to cut that, right? We need to neutralize that and alkalize it. How? We need alkalizing agents, basically from fruits and vegetables. We need all these beta carotene, vitamin C, vitamin E, B, and the minerals. These are all alkalizing agents. Then comes the phase two, which kicks in after 36 hours of phase one, where the metabolites combine with amino acids. Amino acids are nothing but the absorbable form of protein that we take, right? This process is called conjugation. And this process converts fat soluble toxins into water soluble toxins, which can be flushed out. So this needs protein, this phase. The third phase is, which works in conjunction with phase two itself, where uh, the waste product, the toxins are actually thrown out of the body through kidneys, urine, goes to urinary bladder and then out of the body, that is urine. Then comes the skin, which is through sweat, so exercise a lot. And then colon, that is stool. So make sure your excretory system is perfectly working fine. Otherwise, this elimination won't happen. Needs good fats. So basically, this is what happens. And this is nothing but Dr. Atkins' diet, which is high on fiber, moderate protein, and good fats. No carbohydrates at all. Right? So with this, I would say, gracias. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about our project manager, the liver. Also, I would like to end this with I'll stop sharing my screen. I would like to say that our liver is such a beautiful organ. It's very प्यारा सा organ. Let's take utmost care of it. संभाल के रखो इसको. कुछ नहीं होगा अगर if your liver is perfectly working fine. So yes, it is the project manager of our body. Thank you.